Welcome to Cinebuster, the YouTube channel that tells the real stories behind the cars on and off screen. And today, the truck is a 1993 Kenworth T-600, part of a two-truck fleet built for a set of 1994 TV movies that most people do not know exist. Direct descendants of the Snowman's W900A, and we're eastbound and down. Subscribe to Cinebuster right now, be sure to like and comment. And now, lights, camera, action.
We losing minutes, son, we losing minutes. If you don't get up here and run these interference.
Smokey and the Bandit was released in June 1977, directed by Hal Needham, and became the second highest grossing film of that year behind Star Wars. I'll spare you the history lesson you've already heard, but if you haven't, you can check out our other videos. Going to 1994, Hal Needham returned to the franchise as director for a series of 4 television movies syndicated through Universal Television's action-packed programming block. A younger Bandit, a different decade, a different truck. The Pontiac Trans Am that defined the original Bandit's identity gave way to a younger Bandit and drove a Dodge Stealth RT, which is the right car for 1994 and makes complete sense as an update, even if it doesn't carry the same cultural weight as a black 1977 Trans Am with a screaming chicken on the hood. And Snowman's W900A gave way to the 1993 T-600. The Bandit got faster cars and aerodynamic trucks. The spirit of a man running something across state lines while someone official tries very hard to stop him stayed entirely the same.
Ugliness in your heart that I do not like.
The 4 TV movies aired between January 30th and April 10th, 1994. Bandit Goes Country, Bandit Bandit, Beauty and the Bandit, Bandit Silver Angel, all 4 directed by Hal Needham. All 4 produced for Universal Television and syndicated through the action-packed programming block alongside Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, which is an interesting thing to be on the same schedule as. Brian Bloom plays a younger version of Bo Darville, not a continuation of Burt Reynolds' characterization, but a reboot. A new bandit for a new decade who carries the name and that hat on the truck and the general philosophy of running from people who probably deserve to be run from. Brian Krause co-stars across multiple entries. Brian Bloom himself has an impressive career that extends well beyond the Bandit films. An actor, a screenwriter, and a prolific voice actor who has worked steadily from the 1980s through to the present. His involvement gave the television films a lead with genuine range, even when the material did not always ask for it. For what these films are, 90-minute syndicated television action comedies built on a franchise that had been dormant for over a decade since the Part 3 flop. They're pretty enjoyable. Needham knew how to make this kind of film. He had been making this kind of film since 1977. And the craft was still there even if the budget was not. The cast across the 4 films is worth spending a moment on. Mel Tillis appears in Bandit Goes Country, the same Mel Tillis who was in Smokey and the Bandit 2 in 1980, bringing a direct connection to the original franchise and to the television reboot. Richard Belzer appears in Bandit Bandit, Christopher Atkins, Elizabeth Berkley, Charles Nelson Riley, Tyler Mane before his later career in major franchise films, Gerard Christopher, who spent several years playing Superboy for television, Neil Bonnet, the NASCAR driver in what would be one of his final appearances before his death at Daytona in February '94. This is a lineup that rewards closer attention than the films have generally received. The theme song across the films was performed by Dawn Sears, a country singer from Grand Forks, North Dakota, who went on to work with Vince Gill and the Time Jumpers. The song is genuinely good, and she deserved more recognition than she received. Rest in peace to Hal Needham, who died October 25, 2013, Dawn Sears, who died December 11, 2014, and Mel Tillis, who died November 19, 2017, and RIP to the rest of the cast who we've lost since these films were made. You'll be missed. 2 1993 Kenworth T-600s were built for the Bandit TV movie productions. The T-600 was Kenworth's aerodynamic conventional, a significant departure from the squared-off styling of the W900 era, designed to meet the fuel economy regulations and highway efficiency requirements that had reshaped the American trucking industry since the energy crisis of the 1970s. The W900A that Snowman drove in 1977 was built in an era when aerodynamics was not the primary concern for a working highway truck. By 1993, everything about the industry had changed. The T600 reflects that change. A cab that slices into the wind rather than presenting itself as a flat wall to it, with a sloped hood and rounded edges that would have looked completely out of place in the original film. It is still recognizably Kenworth. It still is a proper piece of heavy highway iron, but it's shaped differently by the world it operated in. And that difference between the 1977 truck and the 1993 truck tells you something about what 17 years of regulatory pressure and fuel price sensitivity does to an industry. Under the hood of the production truck's a 3406B Caterpillar engine, pushing out 425 horses through a 13-speed transmission. The stunt driver across all 4 films was Tommy J. Huff, with various actors also taking the wheel at points during filming, because that is what happens when the production needs specific shots and the talent is willing. 2 trucks, 1 stunt driver, 4 films. That's how television trucking was done in 1994. From the community member who documented the truck, one of the 2 known famous movie trucks built for this production was eventually converted into a wrecker sometime after filming completed. The current status and location of the T-600 fleet is not publicly established. What the community has is a partial trail, and a lead that once looked promising and is now a dead end. Subscribe to Cinebuster right now, and if this video is less than 7 days old, please hype it, share it. First week engagement is everything for this channel, and we appreciate every person who helps. The trail on this truck is coming up next, and you won't believe where it goes before it stops. That comment is from a car enthusiast community forum, and it references a post on a now-defunct trucking website called Hank's Truck Pictures. The lead inside it is specific. The truck was in Oregon. A community member on Hank's Truck Pictures had eyes on it. 4 miles away, they said. Then the truck was sold, and then it was converted into a tanker. That information, posted around 2009, is the most specific confirmation sighting of the Bandit T-600 in any documented public record. It gives a state, it gives a sighting, and then it just stops. There's also a trailer from the production. One of the IMCDB community comments includes a photograph of the original Bandit TV movie trailer, the specific trailer that ran with these trucks across all 4 films. That photograph exists in the community record. The trailer's fate is not documented beyond that post. Hank's Truck Pictures was a truck and enthusiast website where users could post photographs of rigs they had spotted or owned. The kind of grassroots documentation site that predated social media and ran entirely on community participation. In its time, the site functioned the way Pinterest would later function for a different audience. Images posted, shared, reposted, commented on, built into a visual library by the collective effort of people who cared about a specific subject. People who cared about trucks, posting pictures of trucks they had seen out in the world. Building a record of vehicles that would otherwise go completely undocumented by any formal archive. Before Instagram, before Facebook groups, before subreddits dedicated to a specific truck makes and models, Hank's Truck Pictures was where the conversation happened. For a film truck community trying to track specific production vehicles, it was exactly the right kind of resource. The kind of place where someone 4 miles from the Bandit T-600 in Oregon would go to post about what they were looking at, because that is what you did in 2009. The site was always poorly maintained. It was constantly hit with viruses, malware attacks, and spam that overwhelmed whatever moderation was in place. Keeping it clean required more active management than it ever consistently received. At some point around 2020, the site was given up or lost by its owners entirely, the domain eventually redirecting to content that had nothing to do with trucks before going dark altogether. This is gutting, honestly. Someone could have bought that truck and recognized it. Someone could have preserved it. The 2009 post says the truck was sold before it was converted to a tanker, meaning it passed through at least one transaction between the Oregon sighting and the conversion. A truck does not convert itself. Someone bought it, someone modified it, and the Bandit T-600 is now doing commercial tanker work somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, under a specification that makes it unrecognizable as the truck it was in 1994. Or it was scrapped, or it was sold again and is sitting somewhere that nobody has connected to the production. There are too many possibilities and not enough recent information to close any of them. What the 2009 lead gave the community was the most specific confirmed proximity to the truck in any documented record. A person 4 miles away from it in Oregon, looking at it, posting about it in real time, and then the trail going quiet as the site they posted on gradually deteriorated and eventually became something else, and then nothing at all. These trucks were put back on the road, and to quote a commenter from a previous video, that is not a sad fate. Thanks for watching. This channel grows because you share it and every comment gets read. Subscribe to Cinebuster for more stories like this one, and we'll catch you in the next one.